Welcome to another one of my neighborhood series on Washington D.C. This is the Fort Lincoln area. This is the area that's kind of a areas on the outer skirts of the city. Remember, Washington D.C. is broken down into four quadrants. So whenever people refer to the neighborhoods, well, not neighborhood, with the area that they live in, they either say northeast, northwest, southeast, or southwest. Excuse me. And this area is actually in the northeast. Fort Lincoln, let's talk a little about the history. It's one of several forts that was built back in the early 1800s as part of the, Civil War defenses of Washington, D.C. It was built by the Union Army to protect Washington, D.C. Again, it's one of many forts. Some of them are still around, not as fort, but just just the name of them. Fort Totten, which is another neighborhood that I will probably doing a video on later on. Some other areas they call Fort Slimmer, Fort Bunker Hill. I know of Fort Bunker Hill, but I haven't really been to it. I think it's just a historic area right now. I don't think it's a neighborhood, at least a major neighborhood anyway. So, and there was Fort Saratoga. There's some streets that's named after that particular fort. Fort Thayer, and of course this is Fort Lincoln. Again, this is an area just was built, as a fort right next to a massive graveyard, which is the Fort Lincoln Cemetery. And I think for years it was just, after the Civil War, it was just pretty much a big swath of nature reserve, just nothing but trees and plants and wilderness and all the other stuff that goes with being out in the woods. And then in the early, 1960, President Lyndon B. Johnson decided he wanted to try something new in America, and this is probably one of the areas, I don't think it's the first, but one of the areas where they tried to do some planned neighborhoods. And I guess in the, early 1960s, he built some houses as part of the planned neighborhoods. Now, there are not many houses in the Fort Lincoln area. When I mean houses, I'm talking about detached homes, whether detached or semi-detached or just single homes. But definitely, there are not many in the area. But he decided to build houses and decided to try something new. I think nothing really happened other than those houses in the early 60s. It wasn't really until the 1970s that they decided to, do some more work on it, This area is probably about 360 acres of residential community. Again, it's on the eastern border of the district, consisting mostly of townhomes and condominiums. It's hilly. DC has some hills, but is not necessarily known as a hilly town, but it's a lot of hills in the city. And this area is no different. As you can see from this Fort Lincoln Park, it sits on top of a hill. It's a really nice park, and it really overlooks not the whole neighborhood, but it does overlook a portion of the neighborhood. You can see how well maintained it is. I don't know when it was built. It's maintained by the city, but you can see, if you decide to have picnics or anything, it had its own individual gazebos to just have a little picnic, a gathering. As you can see, when I walk up this area, you'll find that it overlooked houses that were built in the last 3-4 years, maybe the last 4 years. And these homes are rather expensive, but also overlook, the community. This is probably was the best place to watch 4th of July fireworks because there's, you can see just from the view. Those homes right there run between, 8 to almost $1 million, probably up to $1 million, but they start off at 6 something and almost to $1 million. I'm sure they're $1 million now, if not $1 million, definitely close to $1 million. This park has a baseball field, has a tennis court, a swimming pool, it was next to a recreation center, but the recreation center is now undergoing some type of development. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but it's a really nice tennis court, and also has a little area where you can a basketball court, and that basketball court is also a small soccer court, where people play soccer inside of a stadium. Again, this is Fort Lincoln Park. Now, again, this area is mostly of just up until recently, they were mostly just townhomes, some detached homes right there. Again, that area where across the road is really part of the Gatewood area, but this brick wall is part of the Fort Lincoln area, and I guess they wanted to kind of keep it when they built this back in, 2005. They kind of kept the integrity of it being kind of a fort. So this big, massive wall really covered the area. And then, like in early 2011, 2020, they built this shopping center, Shops at Dakota Crossing. There was I guess this is where the first Costco in the city was built, like 2011, 2012, something like that. Since then, they built like a Lowe's, which is off to your right. And as you will see in these pictures, you will find a Lowe's, a Chick-fil-A, a Chipotle, a Dick's Sporting Goods store, a Marshall's, a pet store, Five Below, which is kind of like a high-priced dollar store. I don't know what it is, but I go in there and pick up things. It's not your typical dollar store. It's pretty kind of a standard retail in a lot of shopping centers throughout D.C. area. Again, it was well maintained. You also have a gas station over here. Costco, in addition to have a regular grocery store, there's also a gas station. As you can see right there, it's Dick's, Marshall, Five Below, and the pet store is right next to it. Right now, they just recently built like another little shopping area. Again, there's a Starbucks here too, so I don't know why I forgot to mention that, but that was kind of like the first coffee shop we had in the area, which was great. As you can see, that's the Costco with the gas station right next to it. It's pretty quiet over there. It's busy during the day because of shopping, but at nighttime it's super, super, super quiet. I rarely see a lot of things going on beyond just people shopping. And right next to it, I soon we'll be going into some of the neighborhoods when I ride around to show you some of the adjacent neighborhood to the city. I mean, it's not to the city, to this development. Now, of course, these townhomes were built, after 2012, like 2011, 2012, well, basically 2012. Now, this area right here, again, this is considered Gateway, which is right adjacent to Fort Lincoln. This is probably where a lot of the houses were built. As you can see, they look like they're from the 1970s, maybe 80s, but 70s, maybe 60s. Some have been renovated, some have not, but they've been well-maintained neighborhood, clean line, clean yard, large yards. So all different houses, just anything you can think of, just was built back in this day. And I guess, again, all this area was considered like on the outer skirts of D.C. So even though it was close to D.C., it wasn't close. There's no metro nearby. You have to take buses to get to where you need to go. But the buses run pretty regularly, so it's not an issue. We just know walking to the metro as it is in other parts of the city. Now this townhome, I mean, there's only a few of them. This was like built probably in the last 6-7 years also, 5 years also. Half Moon is the name of the street. They're pretty nice. I mean, again, this was built really right after the townhomes that on Fort Lincoln was built. Homes in this area could just, it varies. I mean, they could be from the low 400s, I guess, all the way up to, maybe 600, 500, 600 for this area. Well, these homes, and not necessarily of Fort Lincoln. Again, Fort Lincoln, the townhome that I showed you before, right next to the shopping center, they run like high fives, all the way up to like 7, I guess. And there are some newer townhomes on the other side that's even higher than that. But they pretty much, all this area is really from the low 4s to the, I guess, the high 9s. So it depends on, the newer the home, the more expensive it's cost. So that's like anywhere in DC, but sometimes new is not always expensive. So depends on the area. Now I've been around all over DC, but I have to admit I've never really been deep into this neighborhood. Again, some nice little homes here. If you want kind of that suburban feel, but still live in a city type of a thing there. So, this is actually close to a lot of things. It's probably about 10 minutes from here to, well, maybe 10 to 15 minutes to downtown. Depends on the traffic. I think the closest metro would be either, Rhode Island. Maybe, no, Rhode Island I think is the closest. I mean, you can probably get to not Fort, excuse me, Union Station, but I think Rhode Island Metro is the closest. I mean, it takes, by car, it takes about, I don't know, about less than 10 minutes. If you take the bus, it's about 20, 22 minutes. If the bus goes straight there and there's no traffic. It's right not far from the Hex, apartment area where they're building, the Ivy City area where there's new shopping, there's a Target, there's a TJ Maxx, there's a gym nearby. All of that within driving distance. I mean, you can probably walk there, but it's going to take you a while to walk there. Most time you need to drive or take the bus. There's no direct bus that goes there, but you can probably take some connecting bus to get there. It's not a problem. I hope you enjoyed this series. Again, I have more videos to come about neighborhoods, about anything, everything DC. So do me a favor, keep watching. Please subscribe. And if you have any comments, make a comment. Let me know. Let's talk.